What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. Let's get straight to the point and talk about some ridiculous Russian propaganda. Okay, today we do have Battle Babushkas, but not just your regular Battle Babushkas. These are also Battle Babushkas hackers and rappers. Yes, all these professions they do exactly at the same time in this new rap video which they released recently. June 12th is the Day of Russia, basically the happy birthday to Russia, and this is the main topic of this video. In the very beginning they show the current president of the US, Joe Biden, who cannot say 2 words in a row. They're blaming him, saying like, well, look at this president, this is not like our glorious leader Putin. Then they're just rapping, dissing the West, saying that, well, you don't know how to do anything, you don't know how to do this, you don't know how to do that. And eventually, obviously, they start praising Russia. Russia is the greatest libraries, the best people, the best food, the best culture. Well, the auto industry is so-so. They did acknowledge it that Russian Ladas are not that much of a good cars. Eventually, yes, they do congratulate Russia with its birthday, and you know what? This video does not even cause any signs of aggression or hatred, nothing like this, because at this point it feels honestly that even Battle Babushkas themselves, they realize that they just became an internet meme. So I would prefer seeing something like this rather than hateful, alcohol-deprived tweets by ex-president Dmitry Medvedev. But okay, enough of this clownship, now let me give you a brief update from the east of Ukraine, then we're gonna talk about NATO pledging even more weapons to Ukraine, including Patriot air defense systems, and one of the biggest allies of Putin literally abandoning him. So, first of all, we go to the city of Vovchansk, where unfortunately, as you can see, not a single building is standing. Russians, they do occupy some of these abandoned buildings and make it their temporarily military bases. Well, Ukrainians, they have everything inside because of the FPV drones, so they were able to precisely and pinpoint destroy this specific building with the Z soldiers. And also then we have these, let's call them satellite images, where we can see that Russians started building fortifications and defense trenches on the outskirts of the northern parts of Vovchansk city. Basically acknowledging that, okay, we are gonna abandon the city, we are going to retreat, and this is going to be our next front line. Next we have a picture from Staromayorsky which shows completely failed another Russian offensive against the city. They were able to lose several tanks, infantry fighting vehicles and armored personnel carriers. In Luhansk, a multiple launch rocket system of Russians called Pantsir was destroyed by Ukrainian HIMARS, and then in Donetsk another Russian air defense system called Buk M2 was destroyed by a simple Ukrainian drone called Switchblade. And just overall, in the last 24 hours alone, Ukrainians reportedly were able to repel a total of 10 different attacks by Russians, primarily against Ivanovsk, Klishchiivka and Andriivka. And as soon as Russians are incapable of doing anything military related, well, they resort to one of their favorite tactics which they excelled at doing, which is targeting the residential areas around Ukraine. Unfortunately, the capital, Kiev, was affected, the birthplace of Zelensky, Kryvyi Rog, was also affected, and then right here is the video from Dnipro. As you can see from this map, this is the approximate major cities which were targeted by Russians, and then the next map shows us the approximate route that Russian metallic cylinders were taking. But just overall, Ukrainian air defense was extremely superior this time, and it was able to intercept 5 out of 6 Russian missiles and every single 24 Russian Shahed drones, so majority of those distractions were the debris falling. And even though Ukrainian air defense literally becomes better and better with every single day passing, it is still a priority for the Ukrainian defense. That is why, thankfully, recently the Biden administration approved yet another air defense system called Patriot, which is, I would say, the most superior air defense system right now in the world. And this one, according to the American representatives, can be delivered to Ukraine literally within days. Besides that, American government also imposed another package of sanctions against Russia, and this one was primarily targeting financial institutions, including the Moscow Stock Exchange. Next, we have some statements from the Secretary General of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, who is saying that the main responsibility of the alliance is to maintain peace. So obviously for this reason they will never leave Ukraine alone, because as soon as they do, Russia will only increase their pressure. For this reason, the support by NATO to Ukraine, even though Ukraine is not a part of the alliance, will continue for as long as needed, as long as Putin's troops are on the territory of this country. And another very crucial thing that Jens Stoltenberg mentioned is that the weapon supplies from NATO, from each of its members to Ukraine, will become mandatory, which basically means that NATO right now is absolutely not afraid of Putin's threats, nuclear talks, nothing like this. NATO right now is skyrocketing its support to Ukraine, which will have a significant advantage for this country, hopefully in the near future. And besides this, according to the G7 leaders, approximately $50 billion worth of Russian frozen assets will be given to Ukraine in favor and in their help to reconstruct the country. And just when you thought that these news were already bad enough for Putin, well, as always, there is more. One of Russia's biggest or even major allies, Armenia. Its Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan recently mentioned that Armenia is planning to quit the Collective Security Treaty Organization, CSTO, which is basically the equivalent of NATO. Think about this as NATO created by Russia. Nikol Pashinyan mentioned that Armenia will quit this organization whenever it is possible, but it will happen for sure. And if you remember, this is not the very first time Armenia is turning its back on Russia, or I would even better say on Putin, because Russia does not equal Putin. Because approximately in February or so, whenever the International Court issued an arrest warrant for Putin, Armenia, which was supposedly say, don't worry Vladimir, you can come to our country anytime you want, this is at least what the Russian authorities were expecting, how they should react. Well, Armenia did not say anything. They did say that if Putin comes to Armenia, well, we will have to follow the order, we will arrest you. And because of this, the Kremlin's spokesperson, or Putin's personal mouthpiece, Dmitry Peskov, he had to ask Armenia to reconsider. He was basically saying, just please do not arrest Putin, just think about it, like, come on, are we much worse than the rest of the world? And in under no circumstances I'm calling Armenia a small or insignificant country, just like what most likely Putin thinks in his own head. Every single alliance he has, except probably China, is just there like, like henchmen. He doesn't care about them, he just wants to look big. In fact, he doesn't care about his alliances, I'm almost certain. But long story short, can you imagine the humiliation he went through whenever he ordered Dmitry Peskov to beg Armenia to reconsider? This most certainly hurt his ego. And so, as you can see, with the hopefully soon arrival of even more NATO weapons, Ukrainians will obviously continue and even intensify their strikes against the Z army, both on the territory of Ukraine and in Russia. That is why one of the things Russia decided to do is to disperse its planes all over the place, which, to be honest, completely failed. Let's talk about this right now on our Patreon, because this is a very important chapter to know how Russia responds to external threats and how eventually it fails to do even the simplest tasks. So guys, if you want to continue watching, please go ahead and check my Patreon, the link is down below. You will be able to see this episode fully uncensored and also hundreds of extra photos and videos. Once again, the link to the Patreon is down below. This is the best way to support my work. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, it helps a lot with my work. Don't forget about my second channel, Russian Dude Investing, and all the other useful links are down below. My PayPal donations, Patreon, Instagram, and of course merch, hoodies, cases, pens, t-shirts, you name it. Thank you so much for watching, see you tomorrow.